Hello there, a very good morning and welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka. It's the 30th of May, it's the middle of the week and almost the end of the month, which means we are quite into, the middle of the year right now, and the year has just flown past.
Yes, it has. Good morning, Mahina. It's exciting to see how fast things are moving. You're enjoying yourself when time flies. But at the same time, you're kind of worrying if you have certain deadlines, if you have certain things that you're needing to work on before the end of this year. Things are flying fast, very fast.
Yeah, it is indeed flying very fast. And to think that, sometimes when you recollect certain events in your life, you feel like it just happened yesterday. That feeling is always there. But when you actually look at it, you've come a long way.
No.
And sometimes, I was just talking to some of my friends yesterday, and we were like, for some of us, it feels as if everything is moving so fast around us, and sometimes you get so lost in it. You feel like you're sort of in the same mind frame or in the same time zone, whereas everyone else is just,
Keep on going.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, in situations like that, having a constant, having certain things that are regular, that kind of help you evaluate where you are on each day, help you appreciate each day better, becomes very valuable. And that's what we hope this show does for you every morning before you go to work or school or whatever, just starting here, reflecting on how important each day is and the importance of enjoying it. That's what this is all about. So we want to thank you for joining us this morning. We've got an interesting show lined up and hope you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, because it's not just a regular morning show. It's a morning show that not just wakes you up, but gives you, a good dose of information, a good dose of inspiration to start off your day, which is very important in your life.
Well, it certainly wakes us up, and that's why we're here. But we do it gladly because we love the feedback we're getting from some of you. We love that this is helping you keep you informed of what's going on a global scene, what's going on more of a local scene, but also some, like Mahina said, inspiration for each day and the challenges that we all face, but persevering through it.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of issues that we're going to bring up on today's show. It's kind of a mixed bag of things, but also very interesting concepts. But one thing coming up next week, Mahina, is the Environment Day next week.
Yeah.
And more people are talking about the environment. It seems to be, not just because it's a trendy thing, it seems to be a very timely and also an important thing for many people.
Definitely, with global warming coming in and also climate change, we've seen so many, yesterday there was an earthquake in Italy, and we've seen earthquakes, taking place in several parts of the world. We see tremors in Sri Lanka. These are all climate change issues. And to a certain extent, it's man-made issues, These things don't just happen. It happens as a result of something. And Environment Day is important to reflect on how we use our resources that, Mother Nature has for us. Like renewable energy, how do we go into, this renewable energy concept? Because, if you take Japan, for instance, most of the world powers think nuclear power is the way to go, but we saw the earthquake in Japan, the sort of disaster it caused. And yesterday, I found this really interesting report, Prashant, where they said that they found fish in the U.S., which was had radiation in it, and it was actually fish in Japan that had radiation attack, and over the couple of months it had moved to a different part of the world. So you can see how
interconnected things
yes.
are.
So.
You said a very important point there. Like, the world thought they had a solution, or especially the superpowers thought they had a solution for sustainable energy through nuclear energy.
Yeah.
And Japan was one of the biggest countries waving that flag, saying this is the way to go. But with the earthquake and with the damage and the long-term damage that it has done, people are beginning to rethink the issue.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, we have to take stock of, are our actions making the world a less safer place for the years to come? Are we losing our environment? And that has been the age-old debate, especially in the past few years. It's been more intense, of saying, are we really doing a lot of damage to our environment? And so we're going to talk about certain countries now trying to lead the way for sustainable, renewable energy that could be used, that could not only help us better our standard of living, but to protect the environment while doing so.
Yeah, and there is a conference in Morocco where they are talking about renewable energy sources and how, these renewable energy sources will be of importance to mankind and sort of help, in minimizing global warming, minimizing several environmental issues that we are having right now. So these sort of conferences Prashant, is very important. So let's take a look at the VTR that we have in store for our viewers about this renewable energy. Now, those were the views expressed by the German Federal Environmental Agency Chief Jochen Flassbarth and the head of the International Renewable Energy Agency, Adnan Amin, at the Renewable Energy Conference in Morocco.
Very insightful comments there, and the exciting thing is that even countries that do not have any fossil fuels have the opportunity of investing and leading the way for providing renewable energy for countries around the world. Morocco has no oil production and relies heavily on energy inputs and wants to make the most of the ample wind and sunlight they have. In fact, they have a very ambitious plan of trying to produce 2,000 megawatts of electricity by the year 2020 using solar power. This may be one of the most ambitious, proactive efforts taken by any country to use renewable energy. We wish them well. The Rio Plus 20 Summit takes place in June next week, and GMSL will definitely be covering issues on it, because this is a very significant time in the world's history of taking a very strong relook and analyzing of what has happened in the past with using fossil fuels and now moving towards renewable energy.
Yeah, and you too can like contribute in, you know, your own way to sort of, not renewable energy per se, but, you know, issues, to address issues in your own small way, you know, that has an impact on the environment. For example, garbage dumping. Make sure your garbage is dumped in a hygienic area. Then also, you know, not just dumping it on the road, because we've seen, like, especially during the rainy seasons, all the drains get clogged, and then there's flooding, and then there's unwanted, you know, problems in the island. So garbage dumping is, I think, a very important issue that we need to tackle with here in Sri Lanka. And several other environmental issues that, you know, especially in your vehicle, go get a green test done. Make sure that, you know, you're having eco-friendly vehicles in your houses. So these are all small steps that we could do to sort of, you know, do our best to save the environment that we live in.
And it's important when you say that, when we have to look at the issue from a personal perspective, from a country's perspective, and then from a region and a world perspective. And this is going to be the key, and hopefully more of us will be involved in it, especially as Rio 20 gets close, Rio Plus 20 gets close, that it will not just be an issue that we talk about this week and forget about, but it will be an issue that we passionately do something ourselves as well.
Yeah, and a lot of youngsters too can get involved in this sort of programs. I don't know if you remember, Prashant, we've done a show previously where this young lady was very interested in saving, you know, the mangroves in her area, and she came on the show and she spoke about the initiative that she was carrying in. So youngsters too can find, you know, something that, you know, that they're passionate about environmentally and do something about it, because this social networking, everybody's like so close now. And, you know, share your thoughts and get people actively involved in these sort of things.
Yeah, speaking of youngsters, there are many young groups, volunteer groups now appearing across Sri Lanka, who not only see this issue as a trendy issue, but see it as an important issue, and they passionately pursue solutions led by youth. So if you want to know more about those different organizations within Sri Lanka right now, volunteer your time to help make a difference here in Sri Lanka. All you have to do is just go on Facebook, search environmental friendly groups, and you would find many of them doing very phenomenal work. But we also want to applaud certain policies that are now being pushed even in Sri Lanka to make sure that there is a protection. Especially in the past few years, there have been some very commendable policies trying to make sure that we do not do extensive damage to the environment and make sure we protect it for the generations to come.
Yep, and with that we're going for a short commercial break. When we come back, we have more interesting stories from around the world.
Good morning and welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Sri Lanka. This is Prashant here with Maina. We're having a conversation on a wide range of issues that hopefully you find insightful and inspiring. We just finished a conversation on renewable energy, and just to build up to it, this is just a small sneak peek into what next week will be about, with a lot of issues on the environment, and hopefully that lead us into consistent action. But now I want to talk about the internet and how it's been taking over our lives. Just imagine, would you imagine yourself not having access to online for more than a day?
Of course not. I mean, now for the slightest thing we go online. We just go online for basic information, even for like places we don't know. We just go online, we take internet for granted now, and it's difficult to actually live without the internet.
Yeah. And the amount of knowledge, like just we have at the at our fingertips.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
literally anything you want to know, any minute. And just think about 10, 20, maybe obviously 30 years ago, that was not even comprehensible. Like you had to go to an encyclopedia, you had to go and talk to an expert, you had to do certain things. But for us right now, it's just then and there.
Yep, that's true. And even like if there's ebooks online as well, which you could like go and read, and it helps you in your studies as well. So you literally don't have to go to a library per se. You can just do it in your own home. So it's
hard to live without.
Yeah.
So when it's become such an important commodity for all of us, can you imagine that it's still not accessible for many people around the world, leave alone the world, even in our own country? So tomorrow we're actually having a guest on the show who's doing...
Save 25% by using your Visa credit or debit card at any Cargill's Food City.
He's going to be coming on the show and talking to us about it. But apart from that, we want to also talk about...
I think, Prashant, it's time for a time check.
All right, check it out.
Oh, I think we've just checked the time out.
In case you didn't know what time it was, we had to tell you.
Yeah.
But speaking of the internet and the person who's going to come in, we can't tell you the name of the person yet. We don't want to. But it's interesting that there are Sri Lankans who see, well, this has become such an important commodity for me. How much of a disadvantage is it for those who don't have it yet? And doing things to make sure that internet penetration increases.
Yeah, and so if you are at home at this time, do join us on Good Morning Sri Lanka to learn how this individual is trying to promote IT in the rural areas, because people in the rural areas really need that sort of, IT literacy, because the world is moving forward, and to keep pace with the world, you need to keep pace with the advances in technology.
Yeah. And one of the good things that's happened in Sri Lanka is, even though internet penetration hasn't been that high in certain rural areas, young people are getting innovative with smartphones. With cheaper smartphones now being available, and with 3G access, they're able to access not just social media sites, which is predominantly the site that most people visit, but apart from that, they're looking into different educational sites. Even certain students, I've heard, are even following certain courses online. We are using just a smartphone. So people are becoming innovative. So most countries, especially in the developing world, are trying to see how can they increase internet penetration. And one such country is Nigeria. It has a very ambitious goal of doubling the number of people using the internet to 100 million. Right now, Nigeria, 45 million use the internet or are there, so they want to make it up to 100 million. And the communication minister said this at a recent conference. And if I'm not mistaken, we have some images of that.
Yep, we do.